got James Coleman on the line from Sports Den Live, and also you can join him at Fifth Quarter College Football. James, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, man. Just hectic day here. A lot of interesting things happening. I call it the love and the restless of college football is today.
All right,
Seminole land.
Little soap opera drama. Give it to us then. What happened?
You saw saw something I haven't seen in a Power 5 school in a while, or probably ever, where you go 2 consecutive cycles without signing a quarterback. So a lot of fans were really upset about that. You've got that's the main thing is that, and then this Nick Cross situation. I think it's over reported. I don't think it's as drama filled as people are making it seem, but nonetheless, what would be a signing period in college football without a mom or a dad being upset about their kid, where their kid is signing and not having total control over it.
Yeah, so when do you expect that to be concluded? Do you have any clue?
Probably sometime tomorrow. I know the kid really wants to be a Seminole. The dad is just really against it. He wants him to go to Penn State. He doesn't want to go to Maryland, but that's kind of like where they're saying that's kind of like the negotiation. But you could actually see this one go down to the wire, because there is one thing that kid and the family did do. They did sign a grant aid before the early signing period. They just didn't sign the LOI, and they didn't want to make it public. So the LOI is what really makes it official. So with that grant aid there, technically all he has to do is wait until June, and he could just enroll as a regular student.
So let's get back to the quarterback situation, because we kicked around a number of the top quarterbacks that still had yet to commit or give us a hard commit just a few weeks ago, and none of those guys found themselves a way to Tallahassee, and that's even with DeAndre Francois entering his name into the transfer portal.
Right. It definitely didn't work out. They had great visits with Gendry, and they had great visits with Plumlee. Just Plumlee's decision made me scratch my head even more, because Ole Miss last year signed Matt Carroll, and then Ole Miss has now with Plumlee 3 quarterback commits in this class alone. So it's kind of like, okay, not afraid of competition, but you literally had a little bit of a line to go into and at least be able to be the backup in year 1 at Florida State. Gendry went up there, and I think Loxley did a really good job selling him on Maryland, and I think his academics again played into it, even though ironically his academics may or may not be the hindrance of him getting into college. But he wanted to be a zoologist, and they made sure that he got a chance to see everything that there was about Maryland that can help him go in that path. And it also, Maryland's deep at their quarterback depth chart is deep, but they're not as quality as other schools. So this looked like a situation where he can go in, maybe sit out a year, but play a little bit faster. And now Willie Taggart is kind of sitting there holding his hand out, because they approach recruiting the quarterback in an improper manner before early signing period, putting all their eggs in one basket, only Walt Bell to recruit Sam Howell. So what happens is now you don't have any relationships. And for what my buddy Denny Thompson, my co-host at the Sports Den, always says, the quarterback position is about the relationships and who the kid feels the closest to. So that's the one that you have to really recruit a little bit longer. That's why you see guys say, oh, he was my first offer. And that's why they start, like, there's this kind of good, happy feeling, solid story thing that happens with all of this.
So I've got to think that there's been a huge backlash. Now, anytime the fans react, it doesn't necessarily mean anything in real life, in reality, in terms of what's actually happening and what's meaningful. But to you, this is obviously a concern, because it's going to be paper thin there at the position. They're still going to have just as many guys on the roster as most teams will at that position, but they're not going to be of the quality that you would expect at Florida State.
And that's true, man. God, Mark, you're so smart. Like that is a breath of fresh air.
I throw darts.
You're the first person that has made a competent and coherent statement about that. Like, we will have the same amount of quarterback depth. It might not be as talented, and really, I'm putting it out there. McGinley and Plumlee would have been great gets, but are they better than a guy who's already been in the program been in a college program for 2 years, was a 3-star, has some action in college? It's a little bit different. McGinley himself probably would not have made it on campus at Florida State until right before camp, and Plumlee wouldn't have made it till May. What does this mean? It means is the kids aren't going to have a spring under their belt, and having an early enrollee maybe means a little bit more than a guy coming in this late, and they're not going to be able to compete. And you're still in the same position no matter what. And everybody says, what happens if Blackman gets hurt? I'll tell you this: we could have signed Plumlee and injury. Season it goes down the toilet again. So the thing is, you got to make sure Blackman doesn't get hurt. But a lot of people are complaining about that, and rightfully so. But the bright spot is they really got some talented guys across the offensive line and some depth. They have a very good DB class, and their linebacker pool is actually pretty good. So those places should see immediate impacts. But they don't have that quarterback position. So next year they have to go a little bit hard. Jeff Sims is already committed. They'll probably have to find another guy. The only thing that I think that fans should probably stay tuned to is there are about 3 still high-name grad transfers that could probably fit this system. King out of Houston, if he's going to still transfer. I can't think of the guy out of Texas A&M's name. I think it's like Buclair or some kind of funny name.
Nick Starkle?
Is that it? I think that might be it. And then you've got I heard I didn't create that. I heard his name. I heard that name floating around. Jackson out of Virginia Tech. Those would be the guys that Florida State has to really try to see if they can come in and bring depth. But either way, I believe this is the James Blackman show. We got to feed him, get him some more ribs so he can put some meat on his bones, and hopefully get the offensive line to where it doesn't get killed.
Yeah, I expected to see a little bit more meat on his ribs last season after what I saw as a freshman when he was a real string bean.
Believe it or not, he gained 20 pounds.
Wow. Okay.
He's just a skinny joker.
Yeah. He's a tough kid, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Got James Coleman on the line to talk Florida State football. Join him at Fifth Quarter College Football. Also, his podcast, Sports Den Live. Just go to Twitter and look up Big Game James 36. James, for those people out there that think I just read college football and talk about it 24 hours a day, they're not too far off from the truth. But I got to admit, I've got other obligations and so forth. And this DeAndre Francois story just went right by me. Not that I didn't see it, but I just read headlines. I just didn't have time to dive into it. So can you take us through what exactly happened here?
Same thing that happened last year. Girl gets upset, says guy hit him, guy hit her. She put it on social media instead of calling the police this time. Then he gets kicked off the team, and then girl recants statement saying that he didn't really hit me. The only real wrinkle is the girl's family says the recantment was her being hacked. And so it's really just a situation where DeAndre Francois got kicked off the team due to accumulation. It's too much smoke and it doesn't benefit the program. And really this week has been a rough week in terms of PR for Florida State. So you missed on 2 quarterbacks. You got DeAndre Francois in the news for all the bad reasons. That really just messed up a pretty good recruiting weekend that previous weekend. So essentially DeAndre Francois is no longer at Florida State Seminole, but we talked about that was going to be the plan anyway. So what he did was he gave Florida State an out.
We get Tony Siracusa from Last Word on College Football standing by to talk UCLA. One last thing here, James. Number 2 class in the ACC, number 16 in the nation, outside of the quarterback situation and not being able to haul one in. Are you happy with this class?
This class is a depth class. So, I'm satisfied. But I say happy? Okay. No, because there were some notable guys on that we missed on that we should have gotten. I believe we competed hard, did not have a good plan. Now, I will say the 2020 plan looks more like the plan of a major college football program where you're going after multiple guys. We were way too national for the state of Florida to be as deep in a lot of those positions as we were. But when I look at the linebacker room that needed an upgrade, the secondary needed an upgrade, the offensive line needed an upgrade, I see pieces that are there that can be developed the next 2 to 3 years. And if Taggart, can win these games, he'll be able to win games this year in 2019. He'll be able to chance to see the fruit of the labor. Then next year's class should be the class that kind of is the tipping point. So you got 3 classes all together. 2020 should be exciting, whether it's tag or not.
All right, James, you know you're always invited anytime, man. Thank you.
All right, man. Appreciate you.
Have a good one.